Bill Wilkerson in Ava DuVernay's drama Origin. It's an adaptation of Wilkerson's best-selling book Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. It chronicles the author's quest to unravel humanity's divisions as she writes her acclaimed nonfiction work. Variety's Clayton Davis spoke to Ellis Taylor about Origin, working once again with Jon Bernthal and the pressure of landing one of her first major leading roles. They began by discussing what it felt like to make Origin.
I'm sort of finding out what it felt like in these kind of off-center ways, you know? For one thing, I had a conversation with someone about the strike. And I was complaining. I was like, I only did one movie this year. I only got so amount of money in my bank account. I want to buy a house. And I was just going in. And then days later, I said, that's not true. I did another movie this year. I did a whole other film this year. And I said, what? And so things like that have happened where I feel like I only did one movie this year. And I did a movie this summer. And I said, why is that? You know? And I think it's because Origin felt like a miracle to me. It felt like a miracle, and miracles don't fit into time and space, right? You know, there's nothing before, there's nothing after. It's just this thing that's sort of dropped into your existence, and you're not expecting it, and you kind of don't know what to do with it, but you're happy. You know, you're happy about it. And I think that's what it was for me. You know, there were 1,000 firsts, you know, so many firsts with this film. I've always wanted to go to India, and I arrived in India on my birthday when we started shooting there, in February the 21st, for anyone who wants to know when my birthday is.
They're giving out good gifts. All right. Trip to India. Never
been to Germany. Yeah. Went to the incredible Berlin. And I've had lead roles and things, but this is different. The weight of this, the beautiful weight of this is something else for me, you know?
So I was in a little mini argument with my wife. She won, obviously, just by default. Because
she's your wife.
She might, yeah. But when the movie was over and she was like under a sheet and it's like, you know, trying to collect herself.
Sure.
And then we were talking about it and we had the debrief. And the way I described how great you are, I said, for Denzel Washington, it's a single tear. For Viola, it's like, you know, runny nose. Like, it's like these signature acting moves. You know, Sterling K. Brown knows how to like keep water at the bottom of his like eyes. The best way I can describe it is like pressed lips. Like, it's just like, you wear it like right here on your face. Like when you're crying in scenes, I don't want to ruin anything for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but there's a lot of loss in this movie. And I imagine a lot of the reason why maybe you forgot that you did this movie is because I imagine it took every piece of you as like a human to do it and to complete it. Is that a little accurate, or am I on the right track?
Yeah, you know, I am usually at the end of the day exhilarated by, you know, because I don't find it to be a hardship to do this emotional work, you know. Part of the reason is it's just a joy for me to be able to play Isabel Wilkerson on screen. So what am I complaining about? You know, and imagine what she went through having to actually experience this measure of grief. I'm just pretending. So, you know, get over myself. The other part of it is that it's just a joy to do this kind of level of work. So, you know, the other thing, but something happened in this though. You know, Ava would text me at the end of the night after some of these emotional scenes, and she would say, you know, thank you for, you know, your generosity. And I would say, you know, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a cheat because unfortunately I live with this kind of grief. I live with this grief. So when someone needs it, I'm like, I got you.
Got some on the reserve for you.
I got some on reserve for you, you know? So it was all those things that came together. But I guess, you know, this woman lost her husband, her life partner, her mother, who was another love of her life, and her best friend, who was her cousin, in a matter of months. You know, it's unimaginable, you know? Yeah, there were times when I had to say to Ava, look, you gotta say cut. Because I can't. You know.
Let's stop the movie for 1 second.
Yeah.
And after seeing it in Toronto, after I collected myself, I walked out and actually, I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story. I ran into Tom Quinn, head of Neon, and like, you know, the initial like look at me, like what did you think? Like everyone kind of gives me those looks when I walk out of a movie. Yeah, because I looked upset because I just lost my face, and then I was like, dude, like wonderful. And then as I've gone through the last few months since then, and I talk to people about it, and I think you'll understand this, especially like Academy members, everyone, I feel like I have to work double time to convince them that this is not a hard watch in terms of, it's not 12 Years a Slave. This is emotional and it's thought-provoking, but it's not difficult. And I feel like there's always this little bit of a hindrance or obstacle that people put in front of themselves when it comes to Black stories. And I wanted to know if you agree that with that perception, and what can people know about this movie that they may not know for whatever reason because they're not familiar with the source material or Isabel Wilkerson.
Yeah, the exciting thing about this of being in the film is that Isabel Wilkerson is a Pulitzer Prize. For those of you who don't know, Isabel Wilkerson is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, writer of history, writer of the American experiment, and she's won a couple of Pulitzer Prizes at this point. But the exciting thing is everybody don't read. Everybody don't read. So what's great about it is that it democratizes her ideas, the spreading of her ideas and her arguments. Her saying that we need new language to discuss how we divide ourselves in this world. And cinema gives that opportunity, gives that access
to be discovered.
Exactly. Sure. That, you know, Barnes & Noble unfortunately does not offer. So yeah, I was having that discussion a little earlier with someone. And I said, when a lovely white man wants to tell a story about, someone, all they need to offer is their filmmaking abilities, and this person had a dream. That's all. That need be their only offering. Yep. When a writer director like Ava or someone and an actor like me, we have to, there's an expectation of us that we have to make it relatable. We have to make it universal. We have to offer hope. And that demand is not made of our contemporaries, is not made of our peers. But what I will say I will say, imagine Isabel Wilkerson is a literary or journalistic Indiana Jones who goes on a quest all around the world in search of a truth about who we are. And in the middle of this search, in the middle of this quest, she is haunted, chased, and pursued by this incredible loss.
Call it a big round ball that's chasing her down.
Yeah, that big round
corridor.
ball that's chasing her is this loss, losing all of these people in her life, but she keeps going. She keeps going on this quest, and she has to keep going because she's driven by the possibility that what she finds at the end of this quest could help save humanity.
I've never heard it put like that before, but oh my God, I'm going to steal that and use it and try to, that is, and so like on point with everything that the movie offers. If you'll indulge me for one moment to talk crap about someone, and that's Jon Bernthal. So
Anytime.
For two movies now, listen, let's talk about this guy. I got to watch him and King Richard hang out with you. And then do another movie with you.
Yeah.
And here he's being all sensitive and heartwarming and just like, God, gotta bring him down a notch or something. I mean, dude's on a roll right now. What was it like working with him again? And that cross he had to bear.
Yeah.
It's
oh,
so heavy.
Lord, pain in the ass, man. Oh my God, I tell him all the time, like, we didn't really talk a lot on King Richard. We didn't, because we were in scenes together, but we really didn't exchange dialogue a whole lot.
Ronaldo knew to keep you two apart. That's what it was.
Yeah, so when I found out that when Ava was talking about who she was considering to play Brett, she said, and she said, "Do you know John? You know Jon Bernthal, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I work with him. Why?" She said, "Because I met with him last night and he wants to be in the film. He wants to play Brett." I said, "What are you talking about? What?" Because essentially, we worked together, but we were really strangers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just completely it was completely out of the blue. John flew himself down to Savannah to meet with Ava on his own dime, and sold himself to Ava. He was so insistent upon playing this part, upon being in this story, upon being in this mission of I cannot say enough about him. I really don't. Like every time I'm around him, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it to
catch.
be, waiting for it to be revealed that he's not who, but he is who he is, man.
Yeah.
He's just a lovely human being.
So
lovely.
Thank you for not following directions. Such
Sorry.
crap about him. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I want so bad too, but
it's hard, man. It's hard being Jon Bernthal. But let's talk about your sister from another mister, Niecy Nash Betts.
yes.
Worked with her before.
Yes, I have.
And Niecy's in a moment in her own. She's about to win an Emmy this year, I'm pretty sure, for what she delivered in Dahmer, and
which was extraordinary.
It comes from her chest. Like this movie, the interaction, the way you two exchange. I never doubted for a minute that you were related, because I think you guys are in real life, because you're just spiritually connected. But I think a lot of what we access through you as a character is because Niecy is, in volleyball terms, she's setting you up to spike. She digs and sets up really well, and then you spike the ball. So what was it like working with her again? I'm sure much more pleasant than John, but just overall.
Yeah. Yeah, we work together on When They See Us.
One of the greatest shows ever.
Yeah, and we were not friends on that at all. We were mortal enemies in that on camera. Niecy's always been lovely and supportive of me, always. And so the thing about Niecy Nash, which is also true of Jon Bernthal, they're not performers. I mean, she's a performer because she's a comedian and that kind of thing, but she is available and nothing comes out of her that she doesn't believe in, right? And so we are both believers in this moment. Like, we talking about these pictures and cause that's what we doing. And there's a camera there. It's such, man, dude, it is so, ooh, it is so fun to play with someone like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you tell me about the conversations with Isabel herself, or if you did in preparation for the role and everything that like went into this?
I didn't get to talk to her. I think, Ava had been on this a couple of years before she actually, started shooting. And I think at that point, Miss Wilkerson had sort of said, I'm giving this to you, and
do what you will.
Do what you will, and we just sort of, I respected that.
Yeah. So I guess they offer freedom then to just interpret her however did you watch any interviews?
Oh yeah, no. I didn't see it as that kind of freedom. I because one of the things I had to do a little convincing of Ava. So I looked at a picture of Miss Wilkerson, and I said to my sister Sasha, I got to make myself look like this woman. So we ordered this nice sheath dress from Nordstrom's or one of those companies. And I ordered some pearls because Miss Wilkerson is always wearing pearls in her pictures. And then I went to the local beauty supply in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and I got me a wig. And so we took pictures and we sent it, and I did my makeup. I wore the dark makeup that Miss Wilkerson wears on her lips. And I sent the picture off to Ava, and somehow along the way it worked out. But I started there, before the job started. I started there just for the exterior stuff, building the look, because she's very consistent. Yeah. She's not like me. You see me in this, and then who knows what I'm gonna look like 5 hours from now. She's very, very consistent, and I think that says something about her personality. So that's where I started in terms of just the physical stuff, and then I studied her. I'd cross-referenced interviews that she would do with different people. She did an interview with the academic public intellectual Michael Eric Dyson. So I watched her interview with him, and then I watched her interview with Brian Stevenson, who is over the Equal Justice Initiative, and who she was with those two, and how she was in those two interviews, how she protected, what she offered, what she retained, like that kind of stuff. That gave me information. Caste is as much a book of history and journalism. It is as much a memoir as it is anything. So I searched the pages because blood is in everything that she writes, Isabel. That's what makes her the writer that she is. And I studied this, that first TED Talk that she did, where she was very, very nervous. So those were my Bibles. That was in the pages of my Bible.
You put it beautifully. You said there's blood in everything that you see her write.
Yes.
And I believe there's blood in everything we see in you when you're acting. And the last time you were here, many moons ago, we were talking, and you were talking about your preparation for King Richard and your journey to get to that moment in time, you having to take care of a relative at one point. That time between King Richard and now, because I think there's always a perception, perception is reality for many people, but they're not in the system. You got an Oscar nomination, so the door's open. You go do whatever you want now, right? Not always the case, especially for Black women in this business. What has the last 2 to 3 years been like for you in trying to get your next role or whatever it is that you've wanted to do as an artist?
I've been a part of I think some work done by some really extraordinary director writers. The movie that I thought that was the only movie that I did this year is called Exhibiting Forgiveness, and it's written and directed by Titus Kaphar, who's one of the most important figures in American art right now. And I worked on Nickel Boys, which is an adaptation of Colson Whitehead's Nickel Boys, that's directed by an extraordinary director in Ramel Ross. So I did some, brilliant brilliant things like that. And also in the interim, just writing my own stuff. I'm getting a graphic novel that's being adapted from something that I wrote that Amistad HarperCollins is going to publish. So
no big deal. It's just like,
yeah, you know,
and you also did
things.
the Supremes, right?
Yes, I did.
I stay up on Aunjanue. I want to know when my next Aunjanue joint. We were supposed to get 3 Aunjanue movies this year.
Things happened.
Holly was like, you know what? Let's shut this down for a minute. We can't have all this Aunjanue this year.
I was like, what is happening? What is going on?
So are you excited for those to get out there and be seen? Because like some of us are like very impatient and just want to see them already. Excited about them?
I'm nervous, man.
Are you?
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. But I think though, I'm excited to see how people are going to respond to Nickel Boy's. I don't have a huge part in it, but you know, what he chose to do with that, I just is kind of crazy. Like it's like I think cinema nerds are gonna go nuts. Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. I've been, you know, fortunate, but I'm trying to do my own stuff too. You know, that's when I feel like, that's when I need to come back here and I'll feel like I've done my, you know, my victory lap a little bit.
And let's not forget you're in Color Purple also. Danielle Brooks just left here. She was looking for you before you came in, but I mean,
6 seconds. I'm in the Color Purple.
six beautiful, amazing seconds. Oh. So I'll take it any day. Also, just like looking now, second time you worked with Ava. Is there a directing bug in you? Like, is there like something growing that like not at all? Do you just like let me write and
I
that's
just want to
write and act?
Yeah, because I like going home at night.
Yeah. You're like, I don't need to be sitting in a chair for a long time. That's good.
No, I'm good.
I like the honesty that you're like, oh, hell no. No.
I'm not.
It's okay to say no. Like some Hollywood people need to hear this too. Yeah, you don't have to direct everything.
No, you don't. Because I saw what I saw. The ones that I respect, I see what they do. Like I've worked with some. I'm sorry, I've worked with some hacks. You know what I mean? But the ones that like they breathe it, and I think Ava DuVernay breathes it. You know, like it is in her teeth. It is in her ears. It's in her hair. It's, you know, what she wanted to accomplish, you know, there's an insanity to that. There's an insanity about that, you know.
She's passionate.
Yes,
and
indeed.
And people use that word very loosely sometimes.
Yeah, no.
This is different.
No. Yeah. We're talking blood. Yes. Yeah.
This is actually just a curious question because it's been 2 years and you were Oscar nominated as Aunjanue Ellis and now you're Aunjanue Ellis Taylor. So people wanted to know if was that just a name change or did something walk down the aisle?
Did I get married?
Did you get married? I don't know. Because I put it up there. People try to correct me. They're like, why'd you put Taylor there? I'm like, 'cause that's her name in the movie. Like I go by the credits. Share?
Yeah. So the love of my life, who was my mother, gave me my daddy's name. And I'm like, wait a minute, lady. I want your name, you know? And this past birthday that I had, I said it was either her birthday or my birthday. It was probably her birthday. And I said, what am I doing? You know, I want to carry her every day. So how do I do that and not have to do that on a conscious level? You know, so it's my name. It's my name. Yeah.
Best answer there could be. So I'll take that. And good. So now everyone knows Taylor.
I ain't married.
Ain't hard.
I ain't married.
The thing I want to really ask you about this film. It's the last one of 2 questions. There's a theory in the movie that Isabel subscribes to that is, again, it's theory about where our differences have originated from. And I want to know, because me and my wife had a really long, great discussion about it because we'd never seen it articulated in this way before. I didn't read cast before I saw the film. Do you subscribe to that same theory, or do you find her theory sound personally of what she's writing about in terms of humanity and where this all originates from.
Yeah, I think it's sound. Absolutely. I think it's absolutely sound, and she brilliantly lays it out. I mean, please everyone get this book. And it is a book of it is nonfiction. Everybody doesn't do nonfiction, but she writes so accessibly and she lays it out in a way that makes you feel that is intimate and is, you can understand it. It's
words in easy now. She makes it plain.
Yeah, she makes it plain. Exactly. She makes it plain. So, I think it's absolutely sound. And I would say this, how the origins and how she explains it, the origins, how that, I think all of that sound. I think the articulation of that, can be argued. But what can't be argued is when she breaks down these 8 pillars of caste, right? And we show that a little bit in the movie, and that was what was most compelling for me and touching for me and hit me the hardest, because one of those pillars is how terrorism is used as a means of control. And being from Mississippi and being surrounded by Confederate flags all the time and having Confederate statues all over the place and being told that these are it's just hagiography, right? We're just celebrating our Confederate heroes, but also finding out through her work that those statues were erected on purpose because they were used as a means to scare newly emancipated enslaved folks, to remind them, my contact lens just came out of my eye, to remind them that they could at any point be enslaved again.
Go right back.
Yeah. Yes.
That's actor Aunjanue Ellis Taylor, star of Origin, which hits theaters on January 19.